What's up, team? It is now day 2 of designing every single day for the next 30 days. And in today's episode, we're using Procreate to design our graphic, as well as all the Adobe programs to finalize it. This one's a pretty lengthy process because it was a full-on sketch marathon. So let's go ahead and lock in. What's up, team? So today we're going to go ahead and sketch on my iPad. This is going to be a full-on video of me just sketching on this iPad because the client had this idea of this concept here. And he wanted to just kind of recreate it in his own look. He wanted the exact same, I guess, format. So the two characters kind of holding their stomach in this fetal position. And he wanted to just remake that, but for his brand identity. And I was thinking to myself, how can we make this a bit more different and not directly rip off the artist that made the original? You know, just have our own spin. So we have the graphic for our brand, but we also have a different identity compared to the original. So basically I'm using the studio pen for most of this. So when I'm sketching the logos, I'm gonna have the amount of stabilization all the way up, 75 plus. And I basically just want as straight as lines as possible, but the abilities to still make adjustments if needed. So the reference I'm trying to kind of get with these logo concepts that I'm going through right now is this one right here. So again, with the back design, the client was very adamant that he wanted exactly this. And obviously I'm very against, you know, kind of copying people. But in the design world, everything has been done. Everything has a reference. So basically I took it with kind of a grain of salt, saying, hey, I want it exactly like this. I'm like, cool. We'll make it exactly like this, but we're going to go ahead and find our own references and, you know, base the design around some different ideas, you know, have some sort of other concepts with the same design style in mind, just so we're not directly, you know, stealing someone's art. We have the reference, we've made our own art based on the reference, and we're also just crediting the original artist as well. Now with this S here, I wanted it to be like a Thunderbolt corporate hybrid. You know what I mean? Like I could have just made a full-on Thunderbolt, which he has originally. He just doesn't like that. So I was like, how can we make this a bit different? And I just, you know, played with it that way. And with this second one, it's basically going to be a direct reflection of exactly what he wanted. But I was like, how can we, you know, add a bit of flair? So I added the little swoops to the beginning and the end, just so it differentiates us from the original. And the one thing you want to be faced with, especially if you have a brand, is going to order your bulk and then realizing you can't publish any of it because the design has been, you know, under copyright claim or under scrutiny because it's too similar. So yeah. For this last S, I basically had the idea of making it a bit more thicker, so a bit more like a traditional logo, but still have that same S format. Originally I had this idea of this design, but it ended up looking like a T on top of a 5. And also I tried to do it this way. It still ended up looking like a 5, but you know, it just comes down to exactly what you're trying to envision and how to make it as different as possible without kind of taking away the meaning. So if I were to publish this logo, it literally looks like an upside down like U or a 5, but we wanted to represent an S. So if it doesn't represent an S, we're gonna have to just scrap the idea. And when it comes to becoming a graphic designer, most of the time you're just idea generating. So if you can make anything, but you can't think of anything to make, you find yourself in a very weird position, trying to fill the void with these concepts that you're gonna scrap anyway, but you're forcing yourself to be creative. And that's where I find myself nowadays. So that's why I challenge myself to do this 30 days. So I can almost, you know, trick myself out of becoming burnt out and be like, hey, no matter what, I'm going to post a video and it has to be 30 minutes. And if that 30 minutes is just me sketching some concepts, fine, but we have to publish a video because that one teaches me discipline, which I feel like I'm lacking, and also allows me to, you know, practice and train my brain a bit more, because practice doesn't make perfect, you know. I'm always working on myself. That's the motto of revision, and I want to apply it to this whole project that we're doing. So we got our S concepts here. I'm pretty happy with them. Later on, we're going to bring them into Illustrator, and then I'm going to show you guys how to turn sketches into finalized vectors. So basically bringing your logo to life. Now that we have our logo concepts kind of complete, so we know what we're doing, we're going to go ahead and start working on the actual back graphic. So I found this image / reference image of this woman in this, you know, curled position that kind of matches the identity of the design we're trying to make. After checking multiple times, did I put this layer on top? Did I put this layer on the bottom? For some reason in my head, I didn't register it. We're going to go ahead and just sketch our concept around this image. Again, we're just using this as a pose position. And I find that this is the best way for drawing for people who don't really know how to draw. Like, I wouldn't claim to myself I know how to draw pretty well. Like, my what's it called, hierarchy in drawing is wrong. My positioning of like faces and hands and bodies is wrong. But all in, that can become an art style if you really wanted it to. But again, I wouldn't consider myself an artist. I consider myself a graphic designer because I kind of problem solve. I don't make things to look, that's a lie, because I make things to look pretty, and pretty equals sales. But there's a fine line between becoming a graphic designer and then also becoming an artist. I feel like when you're an artist, it's a lot less more corporate. But when you're a graphic designer, you have to think about numbers, corporate, business, etc. So right now I'm just going ahead and sketching, and you're going to realize the mistake that I made here. I accidentally sketched on the original image and not the new layer that I created above. And you do not want this, because you will spend literally 13 minutes, 14 minutes just sketching and then realizing you messed up. But what can you do, really? You just go ahead and keep going. I went ahead and added some spikes to the hair just to be a bit more different, and look at the references I had at the beginning. I wanted to, you know, create that sort of vibe. So yeah. And I wanted to just show you guys my iPad setup right now so you can understand how I'm drawing. I'm using the Apple Pencil, and I'm also using a paper-like, no, that's a brand. There's no sponsorship. I'm using a paper sort of feeling screen protector. So yeah, that just allows you to draw a bit better. You can hear it if I draw it. Wait, if I do this, like in your head, the whole glass feeling kind of goes away. And you can get these on Amazon for about like $10 for a pack of 2, which is pretty amazing. So yeah. After realizing my mistake and finding out that I had put it all onto the wrong layer, I just went ahead, made a new layer on top, and just went to town because I already had the kind of basic format that I wanted to make anyway. So yeah, it's basically like a punk rock angel sort of vibe, which is kind of, what's the word? Like Antichrist? I'm definitely not Antichrist. Praise the Lord. Praise Jesus. Hallelujah. So for the wings, I just went ahead and freestyled some wings. Obviously, I looked at some references, but I was like, to make it fit this sort of person and the position they're in, it's going to be better if I just freestyle it. At first, I did this little like sort of chicken wing scoop. Didn't look too good. Went ahead and, you know, kept trying to make it look better and match the placement. But you see how it's angled almost directly off this person's back like this, rather than having a natural curvature or a swoop. It just doesn't work. So, and it went ahead and just scratched that and got back to work. Just to add a bit more detail, I went ahead and added these little cross hatches here and there just to make it look a bit more messy and a bit more less computerized, because I do have some stabilization on in regards to my actual drawing pencil, which is the studio pencil. So yeah. just adding it in random areas here and there, adding some character onto the graphic just before I start finalizing on the wing. Display right in front of me, so I just pulled up a wing so I could have a better reference than when I tried to attempt this originally. And I went ahead and just looked at my screen and was sketching on the iPad. So basically I was like this. I did not look at my I didn't look at my iPad while I was drawing this, and I'll try to do it right now live time so you guys can see exactly what I mean. So that's just a 5-second version on the Notes app. So yeah, that's what I was doing for the wing. Again, this art style allows you to make a lot of mistakes because essentially it's just sketching. And you're hiding your mistakes with more layers of lines, trying to make the object look like what it's meant to look like, so people can interpret and their mind fills in whatever's missing. So at first I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to draw all the individual feathers on the wing. Originally, as you can see, I started it, and as I got towards the end, I started like making it look almost like fire and like sharp edges, just because I knew I was gonna just go over it again with a bunch of strokes, and we could go ahead and hide that part. Up to here, I was kind of done with the reference, so we have our basically have our graphic. And we can start adding in our own touches like details. So I went ahead and started by adding shadows, which doesn't make any sense because it's an all black lined artwork, but I'm going to add shadows just so our design has, you know, some more characters on the word. I keep using the word character because it's the only thing that's coming to my head. I wanted to add some shadows so I could have some more depth in regards to this graphic. Just added in a bit of scribbles here and there just to fill in the certain spaces. Again, the whole idea is to make this thing look like it's hand-drawn, which it is, but make it look like it's hand-drawn on a piece of paper rather than hand-drawn digitally on an iPad. I added a bit of a curvature towards the tips of the hair to make it look like they're like falling forward or doing like a front flip with their hands tucked in. So basically I added a new layer underneath our layer that we just finished our sketch on. And then I go ahead and found a color, which is green. I like the color green. And then I basically just went to town etching in those shadows, or where I would put the shadows, I guess. So the lighting is coming from the back where the wings are, facing forwards. So yeah. After my shadows, it was now time to color in the graphic. I went ahead and started by adding in a new layer underneath the shadows and our line work at the very top, which is layer 3. So now we're on layer 4 under layer 3 and 3. Doesn't make any sense, but yeah. From here, I went ahead and used the selection tool for filling in our color rather than using freehand and try and do it. This is the quickest way about going about it. So once you're on the selection page, click freehand, and then you basically get to draw in a dotted line. As you can see, that little dotted line that's popping up, that's where I'm making my selection. And because the lining of this graphic is so crazy, you can basically hide your messy tracing or selection work that way rather than using automatic, which would probably select everything else but our line work, and we want to fill in the section. And to close your selection, you just need to touch the points, and then your selection is now complete. And you can go ahead and just grab whatever color you want. So to make it more contrast, I'll grab a red and I'll just fill it in, and you can see what that looks like. And once you're happy, all you have to do is click out of the selection and you have your color object. So for this layer here, we're going to call it the fill color, and you can basically use this for when you're coloring in whatever graphic you want. Now, the bad thing about this is the line work for the shadows is going to be a lot harder to color. So I went ahead and just made this all green so you can see what I mean. And I duplicated the line work for the shadows and the sketches just so I could make it look more full without having to go back and do it all again by hand. Next, I added a new layer on top of everything, and I'm just doing my highlights now. So just adding highlights where I think highlights should be. So again, in my head, the shadow is coming from the back, or almost like, imagine the angel or whatever you want to call it is laying here, and this is the wing back here. I want the shadow to be right here, coming downwards. Not the shadow, the sun or the light source. Just to really finish it up, I went ahead and added more detail to the lining. So I made it more darker, made it more crazy, just so we have a more full looking artwork. So yeah, just adding in a new layer, went to town, adding in bits and bobs here just so we have a bit more on the actual bones of the line work. Lastly, let's go ahead and make our layers all into one group, almost like a smart object when it comes to Photoshop. So you just want to press combine down if you want to create a group, and merge down if you want to create one object. And if you have a group and you want to make it one whole thing, just press flatten. So yeah, that's basically what I did. But always make a duplicate of your original, so you have your original in case you make a mistake and you want to go back. That's my ethos for everything. And during this whole design phase, you're going to watch me make 1,000 different copies of the same thing, because I don't want to go back or not have the option to go back in case I make a mistake. So yes. So with this new artboard I'm creating it for a t-shirt. So 3000 width by 3300 pixels or 3500 pixels at a DPI of no less than 300 if you're going to print. So I tried multiple times to copy this group directly over to that, but it wasn't working. So I went ahead and duplicated this. I pressed copy again. I went back to the original artboard. I tried to paste it. Didn't work. Kept going, didn't work. I don't know what was happening. If you guys know what's happening, let me know in the comments. So I just went ahead and just did it the, what would you say? The almost getaway. For some reason, it would just not let me copy over that layer. So I duplicated it, made a flattened version, copied that, went to the new artboard, and I was able to paste that into my new artboard. So I don't know what was going on. If I wanted to recolor this, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So with our original group, we're going to go ahead and duplicate that, and we're going to make this into our new color. So we're going to make this thing, this whatever you want to call it, red. So I went ahead and just selected our layer, and because we have this on a separate project, you can use automatic selection. It's going to work perfectly fine this time. So I'm selecting the color layer, which is that green layer, and then for the color wise, I want to go between red or blue. I just went ahead and went with red as it kind of plays into that theme a bit more. But the tricky thing is coloring these lines. So I went ahead and pressed automatic, and I selected one piece, and then I dragged across, because when you drag across, once you've made your selection in Procreate, you're changing the threshold. So you're basically expanding how much selection you have, and that wasn't working. So I went ahead and selected everything but that, and then I inversed the selection, which allowed me to select the sketches perfectly. Found a deeper color red, and I went through and just dropped the color onto the different sections. But this was kind of annoying because some sections weren't, I guess, attaching to the color, or maybe I was just dropping them in the wrong areas. So yeah, that's basically how you change your color when it comes to your graphics in Procreate. after adding them both in to my new artboard and just warping them a bit, I went ahead and started drawing some pieces to fill the back end because I just felt like it was a bit too empty. So I went ahead and added this S and a star, so to match with the brand's name. And the star was, you know, just there to appeal to the younger audience, the whole Y2K demographic. And I also just thought the star would make a cool concept, almost like a motif of a shooting star. So a fallen angel and a shooting star. Crazy. Sounds cool, right? That's right. So yeah, that's what I was going with here. Again, this whole art style is 100% just sketching. So basically anything, you can do anything in terms of this drawing style and then make it look cool by just continuing and adding more layers, adding more layers, adding more layers until you get the look that you want, and then just bringing that all together. So this whole time we've been using the studio pen, we haven't changed the width, and we've just been going crazy. So I'm gonna freehand the star as well. Perfect. And then lastly is just to add more details in here and there. And the final thing is to color it. Once we've colored it, I'm going to go ahead and just airdrop this to my laptop so we can open it in Photoshop. Now, the one thing I love about Procreate is the ability to airdrop as a PSD. So you have your files layered as a PSD sent to you via Photoshop, and the airdrop is super quick. And then I just opened it on my laptop and started to get to work in Photoshop and finalizing any details. Now that you guys see me do all that work via my iPad, I've just airdropped everything onto my computer so we can add some final touches and finalizing the logo. So first of all, this design looks good, but the thing is with Procreate, you're kind of limited in what you can do. Sure, you can change colors, what I'm about to do, not as efficiently as you would be able to do in Photoshop. Let's say I don't like the green, and I don't like the red and black, or I don't like the green. Let's just say I don't like the green and I want to change this color. In Photoshop, I can just use a hue and then use a clipping mask. And then from here, using this clipping mask, I can literally change the color instantly. That's the design here. I think red and blue looks way better than green and blue and yellow. It was giving too much of a Christmas vibe anyway. So yeah, this is gonna be the back graphic. For the front, we're gonna open up Illustrator, add a new file, logo project, and let's just go ahead and just copy this over to our file right here. So the client did send a direct idea of what he really wanted, was some designs in relation to Balenciaga. So you can see here this Balenciaga type. I did some logo projects for this one guy. So in this project, I have a lot of fonts that relate to that Balenciaga look, especially this one. It's called Urbanist. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this over. I'm going to use this as the typeface that we use for the logo project. So if I open the mood board the client sent, this is great. By the way, I love mood boards. If you send me a mood board, you're more likely to get approved for the project. Like a lot of people hit me up for logos and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and grab the brand name. And I like copying the brand name. So in case there's an incident where I misspell something, it wasn't my fault. It was not my fault. And this was the reference logo that he had. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the reference and I'm gonna pop it in here as well. I went ahead and just locked those references so I can just draw directly on them. So we want this part a little bit thicker. So again, using the pencil tool with the tool all the way up, or the tool fidelity all the way up, we can go ahead and start sketching some ideas. Well, not really sketching, we already have our sketch. Perfect. There we go. So I was just trying some trial and error, seeing how I could get these shapes as best as I could. I'm gonna try two different ways. I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate this. I'm gonna join them from the ends. So select this point, press join. And then select this point, and then press join. I think that's pretty good. Like, I really like this. it's our own version of the reference, but also we'll have a version where we join them about right here. So if we select all this now, and then we use the shape builder, always fill your shape builder color. There we go. Go ahead and delete that. Oh my God, I forgot to make a duplicate. My one rule, always make a duplicate in case you need to go back. And then we'll just take this part. And then we'll go object transform shear. We'll match the actual curvature. Let's make it thicker first. I need to reset this bounding box or this transform box. Bounding box transformed. We'll make this thicker. And then go object transform shear. Perfect. So from that one sketch, we're able to build these two concepts. For this one, just go ahead and just fill this in as well, probably with a black or something like that. And then line work, we'll make that black also. For this one also, we'll make the line work black and then fill black, so we can see what we're working with. I want to see if I can make this one the same angle as the other one as well. Object transform shear. Let's go ahead and add the stroke to the outside and then make that a little bit thicker. Same for this one, add the stroke to the outside, make that a little bit thicker, add some weight to our actual graphic. You know, I like these both, but it just comes down to which one I finalize. I'm gonna go ahead and vectorize this one as well. So this one's gonna be the angles that always get me. So we'll make one line here, and let's make that in red. Make sure the fill is off, and then we'll duplicate that line by holding Alt and dragging it across until we find our spot. Perfect. And then we're going to go ahead and add a point here, one here, one here. Oh, where would I add this point? Here, bam, bam. Let's go ahead and curve that using the curvature tool. Bring this in a bit. And then we're going to curve this point in. Ooh. Should have listened to myself. That's why I put it all the way out there so I could curve it in. And then we're going to go bam, bam, bam. And let's go ahead and add a curve here. And let's go ahead and bring this part in using our direct selection tool. Let's go ahead and use the anchor points to curve this part as well. And then from here, we'll select both, make a duplicate, drag it out here, and then we'll use our shape builder tool. Is that gonna work? As long as the anchor points are all touching, it should work. See this little gap, if you view it in wireframe mode, will mess up your life. There we go. Change our fill. It's logo design 101, guys. There we go. Just do some final touches like removing some anchor points that are messing up with how smooth everything is. And I think I might curve these 2 points as well, just to match the rest of the font. I think if we add a curvature here as well, that is not a point to curve, so let's delete it. And then add a point ourselves and curve that point, but it messes with this. Let's add a point here. For this one, we're gonna remove some points. Those two. Just gotta make a duplicate of this as well. Object, expand this one, and then use a Pathfinder to make it all one shape. Let's go, and then we'll drop this part down, and then we'll curve this a bit more. There we go. Do the same here. Perfect. So we got 3 variations of our logo here. I'm just gonna move them here, and then we can play with some typography. Object, expand. Just go ahead and make this a bit thinner. Duplicate. Make a duplicate. Yeah, I think these final 3 are my final contestants. I'm looking for some more fonts in here. So there's a reference I like to use when everybody sends me like that Balenciaga sort of look. I want to add one with a border. Let's go object, expand. That's fire. Objects, path, offset path again. 2, 4. 4 is perfect. Then we'll select that offset and this one as well. And use shape builder. And then we'll go ahead and delete. Bam. Script these so they're on the same level. Let's add some different fonts. Let's make this one caps actually. The one thing that's throwing me off is these circles. So let's go create an outline and let's delete these sections right here. Let's make a little and duplicate, 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 duplicate. And let's highlight them all, line them to the bottom, group them all, and align everything on the same plane. You bring it up a bit. That looks much better. For this one, I'll use this font. And I'm gonna remove the dots, the abbreviation dots. Duplicate, object, expand, object, expand again. Let's go ahead and remove this, and we'll move just a bit. Ooh, let's go all the way back because I want everything to be lowercase. Yeah, it's much nicer. Object, expand, object, expand. I always have to do it twice. Something is wrong. Delete, delete. There we go. Use this font. Just make it all uppercase. Don't like that. Not with this type, actually. I use Babes and Yours a lot. This one right here. Alphabet. So yeah, almost like that corporate look. That's what we're going for. I think that's cool. I think I like this a lot. Let's go. I just made a duplicate. Yeah, I think that's nice. Let's go ahead and group this. Make a duplicate. Object, expand. Object, expand again. So now we have our 3 logos. Let's go ahead and go into our design folder. For this one, let's make an artboard. Libraries, add this to the libraries. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and head over to the technicals for the update. So this is going to be on a t-shirt project. So I'm going to grab this tee real quick. And now we can start, you know, making this design come together. So this is the front of the t-shirt. This is the style that you want. It's very clean, very minimal. And any of these are going to work for that. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab, which one do I want to make the main one? This one, as it directly references his referencing that he wanted. So yeah, it's about 4 inches from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4 roughly. And I'm gonna also add it to the sleeves as well. Okay, one thing is we need to center this logo a bit more. Command Y. There we go. Bam. That's perfect. Ungroup that. Let's go ahead into our color swatches and let's go over to color. CMY encoded. Put that boy right here. Desktop. No matter what you say, what you do. There's this song that's been playing in my head over and over again. What is it? For You to Know Only by Destin Laurel. Crazy, crazy track. No matter what you say and what you do, I would always try to be with you. I mean, it's just a 305. We're going to sample this color. And to find the Pantone of a color you sample, go to Recolor Artwork. And then go to Advanced. And then from here in Advanced, I want you to go ahead, drop down here at the bottom, go to Color Books, insert your color book of choice. So Pantone CMY encoded, and it will literally select your Pantone. So 48 take 8U. Lifesaver right there. I'm a lifesaver. Lastly, let's go ahead and add this logo to the sleeves like we had originally. Make it like a cream or a white. And then we're going to go ahead and just fill everything in with a black. We don't have, you can't put black on black because you won't see your line work. So I put it on like the darkest gray. Let's go ahead and do that. Or should we make the t-shirt white? Because all the line work is going to be... Well, we can change it as we go. Realistically, we'll drop this down to like here. There we go. Just make the garment white. Yeah, so that's this design complete. I think I'll close it off on this design and start working on those projects tomorrow. just so we have, you know, some consistent content going on. I want to just focus on this project with the Procreate. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy that one. I see you tomorrow. Peace.